Though this may be exciting for some people, I didn't really want to come on this camping trip with my friends. I wasn't comfortable sleeping in the woods or being so far away from home. But they really wanted me to come along. I didn't want to feel left out, so I agreed. I guess I should tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Larry. I'm 18 years old and I live in Wyoming. I'm not really the type of guy who enjoys the outdoors. My friends, however, love it. Nico, Kai, James, and Chase especially. James is the one who loves it the most. He's been fascinated with wildlife ever since he was a kid. The camping trip was his idea. I wish I could tell you the name of the forest we went to, but honestly, I wasn't paying attention during the drive. When we arrived, I stepped out of the SUV and was greeted by the sharp country smell of wilderness. Damp soil, pine, cold air. The sun was already sinking towards the horizon. We grabbed our bags and gear from the back of James' vehicle and started heading into the woods. James led the way. The deeper we walked, the quieter the world seemed to get. The smell of earth and pine needles hung heavy in the air. I already knew I had to deal with that smell for the next few days. Thanks again for coming, guys, James said while walking ahead of us. I always wanted you all to join me on a trip like this.
Of course,
Nico replied.
So, how long you been camping?
Nico asked him. James started talking about how his dad used to take him when he was little. One trip turned into 2, then 3, until it became something they did every year. But things change. James' dad passed away 4 years ago after losing a battle with lung cancer. James was 15 at the time. It hit him hard, but camping became something that reminded him of the good times they had together. Eventually, we reached a clearing deep in the woods. It was a wide open space with tall trees surrounding from each side like a wall of black pillars. We dropped our bags and started setting up the tents. I struggled with mine for almost 15 minutes before Kai and Nico came over to help. Finally, everything was ready. Alright, James said, clapping his hands together. Now we're gonna need firewood. Before anyone could volunteer, he pulled out a large bag from his gear. But don't worry, he said with a grin. I already brought some. The fire was going not long after. Night slowly swallowed the forest around us. We sat around the campfire, eating s'mores that Chase had brought. The flames crackled and popped while sparks floated upward into the dark sky. Even though I was having a good time, something about being out there made me uneasy. All I could think about was what might be lurking out there in the darkness beyond the firelight. What if a bear shows up? I asked nervously. James laughed. Trust me, most animals won't come near a fire. And besides, Chase added, if anything happens, we got each other's backs. That made me relax a little. Thanks, guys, I said as I held another marshmallow over the fire. I watched it slowly turn golden brown. Just as I was about to take off the stick, Kai suddenly stood up.
Alright, I'll be right back,
he said.
Where are you going?
Chase asked. Kai stretched his arms and laughed.
Relax. I just gotta go drain the lizard.
We all chuckled. Kai grabbed his flashlight from the ground and flicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness between the trees as he walked off into the woods. The light moved deeper between the trunks. Then it faded. And then it was gone. For a while, none of us really thought about it. We just kept sitting around the fire talking. James started telling another story about one of the camping trips he took with his dad, and Chase kept interrupting him with dumb jokes. But after a few minutes, something felt different. The forest had gone quiet. No crickets, no wind, nothing. Just the fire crackling in front of us. I remember looking towards the dark tree line where Kai had disappeared, and for some reason, I suddenly had the feeling he wasn't alone out there anymore. Kai had been gone for about 30 minutes. No way he could be gone that long just to take a piss. Hey, you guys think Kai got lost? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. James frowned. Yeah, that's not normal for him. Nico shrugged.
To be fair, he takes forever in the school bathroom too.
Nico, James said, shaking his head. He does that because he wants to skip that one class. I leaned forward slightly. It doesn't matter, he's alone out there. What if something happened? That's when I heard it. Something deep in the woods. At first, I couldn't describe it. It wasn't loud, but it carried a low rumbling vibration you could feel in your chest. I was the only one who noticed. Everyone slowly turned towards the trees. For a few seconds, the only sound was the fire. Then, the rumble came again. Slow, deep. A heavy step crushed something on the forest floor. Then another, and another. Slow, steady. Whatever it was big. Then it stepped out of the darkness. It wasn't enormous, but it was a small heaver. The glow of the fire caught a body about the size of a small truck standing between the trees. One of its legs shifted forward, short arms hanging from its chest. Each hand ended in 3 long fingertips with curved claws. Chase slowly raised his flashlight. The beam climbed up the creature's body. The animal leaned its head into the light. 2 bony ridges sat above its eyes like small crests. When its mouth opened slightly, rows of jagged teeth reflected the firelight. For a moment, my brain tried to convince it was a bear. But bears don't stand like that. Bears don't have arms like that. And bears definitely don't have heads shaped like something from the prehistoric past. The creature released a low, rumbling growl that vibrated through the ground beneath us. That's when the truth hit me. Something that should be extinct standing in front of us. A dinosaur.
No way,
Nico whispered. James stared at it, pale as a ghost. That's an Allosaurus. The different lizard tilted its head slightly, almost like it was studying us. For a moment, I thought it was going to charge, but it didn't. Not yet. Maybe the fire was keeping it back. The animal slowly lowered its head and stared straight at us. Then it took another careful step forward. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. Sweat ran down my face even though the night air was cold. I have an idea, James whispered. But if this works, we run. He slowly reached into his bag. The Allosaurus kept closer, its massive feet pressed into the dirt. Each step carried that same low rumbling vibration. A deep growl rolled from its throat, almost like a crocodile. And then I smelled it. A horrible stench drifted through the air. It smelled like fresh roadkill. James finally pulled something from his bag. Bear spray. He stood up just enough to aim. The Allosaurus leaned its head closer to the fire. James pulled the trigger. A blast of orange spray shot straight into the creature's eyes. The dinosaur let out a defeating bellow and jerked its head back, shaking violently. Run! James shouted, grabbed his flashlight and bolted past the creature. Me, Nico, and Chase followed without thinking, leaving our tents and gear behind. As I ran, I glanced back for a split second. The fire lit up the dinosaur silhouette as it shook its head and roared in pain. Then I turned and ran deeper into the woods. Branches whipped against my arms as we sprinted through the trees. My lungs burned and my legs felt like they were about to give out. The forest around us were pitch black, except for the beams of our flashlights bouncing wildly between the trees. Suddenly, Chase tripped and slammed into the ground. I stopped and turned back to help him up. But the moment I grabbed his arms, I smelled it again. That same roadkill stench. My flashlight dropped towards the ground, and that's when I saw it. Chase hadn't tripped over a rock. He had tripped over Kai, or what was left of him. Half of his arm was gone. Part of his head had been ripped away like it's been bitten clean off. Blood soaked to the ground around him. I screamed. Chase screamed too. James and Nico turned around, their face turning ghost white when they saw it. Then I felt the ground start to shake. At first, it was faint, then stronger. Heavy footsteps crashing through the forest. It was coming straight for us. The Allosaurus was running. I tried to pull Chase up, but he was struggling too much. Help me, please! Chase screamed. I'm trying! I shouted back, but the footsteps were already too close. Something slammed into me from the side. It knocked me to the ground like I'd been hit by a car. A second later, I felt hands grab my arms. James and Nico, they dragged me to my feet. And that's when I saw it. The Allosaurus had pinned Chase to the ground beneath one massive foot. His scream tore through the forest. Then came the sound of bones cracking. James and Nico pulled me away before I could even react. We ran deeper into the woods. Chase's screaming suddenly stopped. The only sound was left of our own footsteps pounding against the ground. Chase is dead. We kept running and running until the trees finally began to thin out. Then I saw something ahead. The road. And James' SUV sitting exactly where we left it. We burst out the trees and jumped into the vehicle. Go! Nico and I shouted. James slammed the start button and the engine roared to life. The SUV tore down the road as fast as it could. I looked back through the rear window, but All I could see were the dark trees disappearing into the distance. Once we made it to a nearby gas station, James called the police. When they asked what happened, we lied. We told them a huge bear attacked us in the woods and killed our friends. Because, honestly, do you really think they would believe us if we told them the truth? That a dinosaur had come out of the forest and haunted us? I'm sure you wouldn't believe it either. Search team went out the next morning. They combed through the woods for hours. They eventually found Kai's body, but Chase was different. They never found him. Only a patch of crushed leaves, dark blood soaking into the dirt, and long drag marks that disappeared deeper into the forest like something heavy had been pulled away.
The police said a bear probably carried him off.
I didn't argue with them. Because how do I tell someone that what really took your friend wasn't a bear at all? As I'm writing this now, it has been 3 weeks since that night. The police closed the case and ruled it as a fatal bear attack. James and Nico want to forget about everything that happened, but I can't. Every night, I still hear that deep rumbling growl in my head. I still see those teeth in the firelight. So, I made a decision. Tomorrow, I'm going back to those woods, and this time, I'm not going there to camp. I'm going there to track down that thing. And I swear, I will avenge my friends, Kai and Chase.